Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. In this video, I want to show you three tools that I've been using to research stocks in the stock market. I get asked this question a lot, so I figure I might as well just make a video showing you some of these tools and how I use them. Now, these three tools that I'm going to show you really have the potential to cut down on the time you spend researching all of these stocks. Obviously, if you're someone that's looking for opportunities in the stock market, sometimes that's going to include looking through a large quantity of names. And so these tools are what I use to be able to sift through names quickly to really focus on which ones I want to dig deeper on. And the best part is all three of these tools are absolutely free. So let's get started. All right, so the very first simple tool I like to use when researching stocks is this website called ROIC.ai. This is a website I found out about very recently when someone on Twitter mentioned it, and I'm definitely going to be using it a lot as I like what they provide. So it's a very simple website, no flashing screens everywhere. All you do is put in a stock that you want to research. So for this example, we'll do Bank OZK, which is one of my investments. And what it does is pulls up a one page of really summarizing everything about the company that you have to know. So it'll show you the long-term stock price, it'll show you valuations like the PE ratio, it'll show you the dividend yield. And when you come down a little bit, the financials for this company go back 15 years. So you can see each year how numbers like sales per share, earnings per share have changed over an extended time period, and see how the stock price reacts to those changes. Right? You also get information like return on invested capital, return on equity, which are very important to look at. And then down here at the bottom, they give you annual rates of growth for things like revenues and cash flows. They give you the quarterly earnings per shares numbers. And then at the bottom, they give you a quick summary of what the business does. And so these reports look very reminiscent of those one-page value line reports that used to be pretty popular. Right? I think it was Warren Buffett or another investor that said they would go through these pages all day looking at stocks. And this website takes it a step further. If you click on the button that says full financial statements, these financial statements go back farther than any other website I've used. So Bank OZK has been around a long time. And so these financial statements go back all the way to 1996. All right, that's 25 years of financial statements. Most websites out there like, MarketWatch or Reuters or any of these other websites or any of these other financial websites, they usually only go back around 5 years. And so this is by far the best website that I've found in terms of looking back over a decade and finding old financial information. They even have links at the bottom for the SEC filing. So if you click on this, it'll bring you back to the SEC filing from 1997 for this company. So I think this is an absolutely great tool. Like I said, it's completely free, and this is definitely one that I'm going to be using, especially when I'm first learning about a stock and I really want a quick glance at the overview of the company and what they've done in the past. This will definitely be the first place I go to look for that. Now, the second tool I like to use is a website called koifin.com. And Koifin has a free version and features that you have to pay to use, but I've found that the free version really has everything I need. And so what Koifin is really trying to do is they look like they're trying to be a sort of budget Bloomberg terminal. Right? Obviously, Bloomberg terminals are a big thing among people that work in finance on Wall Street, but most people really don't need all that information. And this substitute will give you more than enough. So right on the homepage, it gives you things like market news. You can check the performance of the indexes, different sectors. And so we'll see what happens if you look up a stock. So I'll just search for OZK again. And so if we come to the overview page, it gives you a real simple overview of the company where you have a price of this, you have a chart of the stock price, you have some key data, and you have a tab with news. And here you go. It gives you, again, some pretty good information. It gives you the growth numbers for the metrics like revenue and earnings. And of course, you can go over to all the tabs that have the income statement, balance sheet, and cash flow statement. Again, this is all pretty useful information. You can also go to the multiples tab that show you, how the valuation of the company has changed over time, which can be useful if that is something you are looking at. Now, a feature that I like about this website is there is a tab called ETF exposure on the side. If you click on that, it'll actually tell you some information about how much the stock is being held in ETFs. And so it'll give you a list of all the ETFs that are holding it, right? It won't show you any of the details without paying, but I still think the information is valuable. So here we see that 120 ETFs hold OZK stock. This is around 1.4 billion in market value. In the US ETF ownership of OZK is around 24%. So I think this could be potentially some very valuable information. Right, if you're looking at a small company that really has no ETF ownership, that could be a real positive if you think in the future ETFs are going to want to own a certain company. There's also an estimates overview tab where you can look at historical analyst estimates for things like sales and earnings per share. This isn't information that I really value that much, but it is there if that is something you want to take a look at. Also a tab for estimates trends, again showing you how estimates are changing, could potentially be good to use to see how perceptions are changing about the company. Now the last website I'm going to go over that I like to use to research stocks is a website called Ticker Terminal. This is one that a lot of people on YouTube have been talking about lately, and I do think they have some pretty valuable features that will help you out if you're not using them already. Again, this is free. I think you need to have a referral link to be able to log into this website, so I'll put a link to this down in the description if you want to check it out. And so this website has a lot of the same features as the previous website, but they have a few additional things which I think are very valuable. The first one is the option to track investing gurus. You can basically look up any fund or investor that has to do SEC filings, and this website really nicely organizes it and displays all of their holdings. And we can go to someone like Pabrai Investment Funds. Obviously, Monish Pabrai is a very prominent value investor, and here you go. It pulls up all of his holdings. Another thing I like about this is it doesn't just show his U.S. holdings; it also shows holdings overseas, which a lot of other websites won't do. So here you can see a couple of U.S. stocks he owns, and then also some companies in India and Turkey that I believe he owns. And then again, if you want to do more research on any of these stocks, you can just click on the name, and it'll pull up a very similar type of summary where you have the stock charts. You can look up things like financials, and if you click on a number like revenues, it'll also give you a nice chart, which I do like, having a visual representation of the numbers. Now, I do think this data only goes back 5 years, which is why I do like a website like ROIC to find financial data that goes back more than 5 years. You also have a valuation tab, which gives a ton of different valuation metrics based on really anything you could think of, really, which could definitely be valuable if you're looking at a lot of different type of companies that are valued in different ways. There's also a competitors tab where if you click on that, it'll show you really all the competitors of the company and how they compare, which I do think is something that is important to do if you're looking at a stock. Now, the last thing I like about this website is the global screener, where there are a ton of things to screen for. So if we take a look at ad screener, there's really a ton of things that you can screen for, right? You can screen for the industry or country that a company is in, different valuation metrics, anything based on the income statement, balance sheet, or cash flow, and then also looking at financial ratios. And so stock screeners are where I find a good amount of ideas. Obviously, I wouldn't recommend only using a stock screener. I think there's a lot left on the table when you do use a stock screener that you'd be missing out on. But I do think it is a good place to look if you're just looking to get some initial ideas for investments. And so here is a sample screening that I made that you could use if you want. In my recent video on Alibaba, I said that India is a potential place to be looking for investments. And so here's a quick screen I made where I'm looking at companies in India with a return on equity of more than 15%, return on invested capital of more than 15%, and a price to cash flow per share of under 10. Pretty basic screen, just making sure that the company is able to reinvest its cash at high rates of return and that the valuation is pretty conservative. And so when you run the screen, 3 companies came up here. Obviously, I don't know anything about any of these. I just made a quick screener, but these could potentially be companies to look more into based on the metrics from the screener. So yeah, these are the 3 websites that I've been using lately to research stocks. There are a lot of paid websites out there as well, but I really don't think they're necessary. I think really all the information you would need is available on free resources like the ones in this video. So if you found this video valuable and you think you'll use these tools, leave a like for the channel and share this video with anyone you think will also find it valuable. And let me know down in the comments if there's any other websites you use to research stocks. I'm always on the lookout for new tools that could help me. So that's it for now. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next video.